Christian and Stephanie share some money in the ratio 3:2. Christian receives $72. 1. Work out how much Stephanie receives. If Christian receives $72, this means that the 3 here, or 3 parts, is equivalent to $72. This means that one of the parts must be equivalent to $72 divided by 3, which is equal to $24. One part is equal to $24, and Stephanie receives 2 of those parts. So if Stephanie receives 2 parts is worth 2 multiplied by $24. This equals $48. Therefore, Stephanie receives $48. Another way to think about this is from the fact that the ratio is 3:2. This means that if we divide the amount that Christian gets by the amount that Stephanie gets, it should equal to 3/2. Since Christian received 72 divided by the amount that Stephanie gets should equal 3/2. And we can use the equation here to solve for S, which is the amount that Stephanie gets. So to solve for S, we can multiply both sides by 2 and S, and that becomes 3S equals 2 multiplied by $72, which equals $144. So 3S equals $144 if we divide both sides by 3 here and 3 here. We have S on its own for Stephanie equals $144 divided by 3, which equals $48. Part 2. Christian spends 45% of his $72 on a computer game. Calculate the price of the computer game. If he spends 45% on a computer game, this means that the price of the computer game is 45%. The price is equal to 45% of $72. In maths, the word of always means multiply. So we want to find 45% multiplied by 72. However, we can't just multiply percentages. We need to convert it into a decimal first. When we convert a percentage into a decimal, we divide by 100. So 45% divided by 100 is equal to 0.45. And we need to multiply it by $72. 0.45 multiplied by 72 equals $32.40. Therefore, the price of the computer game must be $32.40. Part 3. Christian also buys a meal for $8.40. Calculate the fraction of the $72 Christian has left after buying the computer game and the meal. Give your answer in its lowest terms. So Christian started with $72. He spends $32.40 on the computer game and then spends another $8.40 on a meal. That leaves him with $31.20. So the amount that he has left as a fraction of the amount he started with would be the amount he has left, which is 31.20 divided by the original amount, which was $72. 31.20 divided by 72 equals 13 over 30. And since we can't divide 13 and 30 by any same number, this is the fraction in its lowest terms. So the answer is 13 over 30. Part 4. Stephanie buys a book in a sale for $19.20. This sale price is after a reduction of 20%. Calculate the original price of the book. If we let the original price of the book equal X, we start with the original price of X, we decrease it by 20%, and that should give 19.20. Decreasing by 20% is the same as finding 80%. Because if we started by 100 and we take away 20, we should be left with 80%. So 80% of X should equal 19.20. This means that X multiplied by 80% as a decimal, which is 80 divided by 100, which is 0.8, equals $19.20. And if we divide both sides by 0.8 so that we have X on its own, 0.8 here and 0.8 here cancel out, leaving X equals 19.20 divided by 0.8 equals $24.00. Therefore, the original price of the book is $24. B. Boris invests $550 at a rate of 2% per year, simple interest. Calculate the value of the investment at the end of 10 years. Since this is simple interest, he gets 2% of the original amount every year. 2% of 550 is the same as 0.02 multiplied by 550, and this gives 11 or $11. This means that Boris will get $11 every year. So Boris starts with $550 in his account. He gets $11 every year for 10 years. So this means he gets $11 10 times, and this is equal to $550 plus $110, which equals $660. So the value of the investment at the end of 10 years is equal to $660. Marlene invests $550 at a rate of 1.9% per year, compound interest. Calculate the value of the investment at the end of 10 years. Since it's compound interest, it means that it increases by that percent from the previous year. When we want to increase something by 1.9%, it's the equivalent of finding 100 plus 1.9% of that value. So 101.9%. When we convert 101.9% into a decimal, we divide by 100. So that gets us 1.019. So we start with $550. After 1 year, we increase that by 1.9%, which is the same as finding 101.9%, or the same as multiplying by 1.019. After the second year, we have this value in the bank, and we increase it by 1.9% again, which is the same as multiplying by 1.019. And then, after the third year, we do the same. And after the fourth year and fifth year, we're doing the same. This means that it's actually the same as multiplying by 1.019 to the power of the number of years, because we're increasing it by 1.9% 10 times. And this equals $663.90. So the value of the investment at the end of 10 years is $663.90. Hans invests $550 at a rate of X% per year compound interest. At the end of 10 years, the value of the investment is $638.30, correct to the nearest cent. Find the value of X. When we want to increase something by X%, that's the same as 100% increase, so plus X%. And when we convert from percentage to decimal, we divide by 100. So when we want to increase something by X%, it's the same as multiplying by 100 plus X divided by 100. Let this be big X. So if we start with $550, we will need to multiply it by X, the big X, 10 times, or to the power of 10, for compound interest for 10 years. And we know that by the end of 10 years, it equals 638.30. If I simplify this first, this is like 550 big X to the power of 10 equals 638.30. We want to solve for big X. If I divide both sides by 550 to remove the 550 in front of the big X, that cancels out. Big X to the power of 10 equals 638.30 divided by 550, which equals this. And then to get rid of the power of 10, we do the opposite of to the power of 10, which is the 10th root of 10. So we can find big X by doing 10th root of both sides. 10th root of something to the power of 10 is something to the power of 1. So we have big X equals the 10th root of this value, and it equals 1.015000. By now, you should realize that in order to increase 550 by X%, we're multiplying it by this much. And if you can see it, we can work out the value of little x right away because it's right here. X is equal to 1.5. Because when you multiply this by 100, you get 101.5%. However, if you want to make sure that it's correct, we can always substitute it back into here. We know that 100 plus x divided by 100 equals 1.015. 100 plus x equals 100 multiplied to both sides, so 101.5, and x equals 101.5 minus 100, so that equals 1.5, and therefore it was at a rate of 1.5% per year compound interest.